Welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Sarah Louise. I'm an intuitive. I'm a reader of the cosmic weather, and I'm here today to share with you my little wrap up of 2025 and a little bit of a preview into 2026. So, for most of you, many of you who watch my weeklies each week, you'll notice that I'm not in the office. I'm actually on a beautiful Fijian island, and yeah, it is pure paradise. So I know the lighting's not great, but I really wanted you to see and just breathe in a little bit of that beauty of where I am right now, which for me is the most perfect place to be wrapping up this crazy year. Yeah, it's peaceful, it's calm, there's not many people, and it's exactly what my nervous system needed. So let's think about this year. This year was massive and it was so transformational, and not in that, oh my God, I'm going through a transformation, but in like the deep, internal, like, this isn't going to work anymore. And if you keep pushing, you're going to be on the floor. Like these ways, these attitudes, these beliefs, these patterns, this conditioning, it was, insane, intense, and definitely so many massive planetary alignments, the energy, the evolution of where we're going, and also it was that snake year. So what's snake? It's all about shedding skin, releasing, letting go, leaving behind. It's deep. It's like, it was big. Like, personally, for me, I would say that 25 was physically the hardest year of my life so far. I was really tested and I couldn't continue in ways that I had always done. I couldn't push through, I couldn't ignore. And in the kind of collapse that I had mid-year, I've had to reevaluate so many things, and my boundaries, my priorities, how I work, and look after myself in a really different way. Yeah, really acknowledging my sensitivity and my empathic nature and how I take on people's energy. And if I surround myself with people, in places where I don't really fit, then I'm going to feel that and I can't push through that anymore. So, and I can't push my body like I used to, because it won't do it anymore. And I can't ignore my nervous system, and I know lots of us are feeling this because we're all in this together, right? And it will show up differently for everybody in all different ways. But, these fundamentals of changing our conditioning, not being able to ignore anymore, has come up for a lot of people. Yeah. So it was a big year. It was a really kind of big, deep, like shifting, testing on all levels. Yeah. And for a lot of people as well, physically. And if I tune into the spiritual, what do I think? What do I feel, not think? What do I feel is why and what it's for? And I truly believe that we're evolving so quickly. It's like evolution on steroids last year, this year, coming up, the next couple of years. And the physical body, like, it needs to be in alignment with the soul and the mind. So it's like there is all this clearing and cleansing through our physical bodies, through our minds, so that we can keep up with this incredible evolution. Because, I don't want to be left behind. I'm constantly asking to step up, to grow, to become the best version of myself. And if I'm constantly asking that, then I'm constantly going to be up leveling. Yeah. So it was a huge, huge year. And, we're closing it out on that beautiful solstice, which happened last week. And there's a lovely light that comes in with that solstice of kind of resetting before we go into this new year. So I leave this year, and I hope that you all do, with gratitude and a new level of awareness. And I really pray that everyone can take a moment before the end of this year just to do a little bit of writing on that, gratitude. What did I learn? what do I hold on to, what won't I compromise on anymore. Yeah, and that will kind of be our new grounding for where we're going in the new year. So when I tune into the energy of this up and coming year, I'm like, wow, ooh, like, there's this real ooh, and I feel like it's definitely a bridge into 2027, and it's an extension of 2025. I know some of you will go, oh my god, no, but it is, it's an extension, and it's a bit of a bridge going into 27. I feel is like, so we do have another year, and I do feel that when I tune into the energy, there's a lot of fear on the planet in 2026. Yeah, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot more change, there's a lot of upheaval, and there's a lot of chaos out there because, we are in the midst of this, massive evolution, and it's on steroids, like I say. So it's not like, oh, we're all evolving in beautiful time. It's like push. And so that doesn't have to be negative, right? If we know that, we just know that we're going to have to work a little bit harder than, maybe some previous years on staying balanced, staying true to ourselves, staying authentic, staying in our sovereignty. Yeah. So yeah, that truly how it feels. But I also feel that we're gonna, we're gonna practice much more of kind of what we've learned through 25. Yeah, so it's a bit more of a kind of even playing ground. There's definitely a lot of evolution in communication and technology, and that for many is going to be super exciting and like wow, and for others it's going to be very fearful of like, I don't like change, I don't want to go with that. My advice is to roll with evolution, to embrace it, and find the good in it, because there's always good in everything, right? In everything, because of the polarity of life. So, constantly we're looking for the growth and the benefits and the blessings. Yeah. If I look at last year, the blessings now, I was challenged physically, but now I'm, I haven't, not that I was ever a big drinker, but I loved a glass of wine or a margarita if I was meeting my girlfriends or, having a nice dinner. But I haven't drunk alcohol for nearly 7 months. I haven't drunk coffee for nearly 7 months. I look after my nervous system so much more. I regulate myself. I do much more yoga, much more breath work. I'm so much more in tune with myself. I eat meat, I eat really regularly, and food is my medicine. And this was a girl that would run on air a lot of the time because she just didn't have time, and she's always running, and vegetarian, and push, 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 push. And there's still a part of me that most definitely, I'm still myself in many ways, but I've changed so much. Yeah, for the better. So there's so many blessings in that, right? So many. I'm much more aware of what's going on, and I'm tuning into my sensitivity. I'm not trying to suppress it, and I'm much more open to new ways, different ways. I rest more. Yeah, and I feel so much better. So yeah, it was hard, but oh my God, the blessings. Oh, I'm so grateful. And I know that it's constantly changing. And so I was very rigid in many ways, and now I'm much more in flow. How does my body feel today? How does my mind feel? What do I need? Yeah. Blessing my food and blessing my water, and practicing so much more like coherence in my body and tuning in rather than just, let's just go, this is what I do. And suppressing and avoiding and running away and like, no. So go back to this year. So coming in to this new year, what's going to be really important is finding our passion, finding our daily practices that support us, and like being so disciplined for those, because like I said, it's going to be chaos up here. Yeah, it's chaos out there. So if we're super regulated, really aligned, living in our kind of coherence with ourselves, and you know, values and passions, and like that won't affect us. Unless, you know, if we're dysregulated, not aligned, like that's gonna like mess with us. So, you know, when you think about passions, it's funny. I'll give you some little examples so you'll know what I'm talking about. Like, so we're coming on holiday and I came away with my husband and my daughter. So we're packing, and I pack, you know, my journal and my pen and one book and my runners. Um, you know, they were the really important things for me, you know, and a couple of my real key supplements, my magnesium, and, you know, that's like right up there. My husband comes in, he's got like six books and his reading glasses. Yeah. And then my daughter has got her fins and her swimming cap and her goggles. And there was a part of me that kind of looked at our kind of priorities, and I was like, wow, that's our true passions. You know, actually, my daughter had coloring in books. And I was like, you know, oh, she's 16 and she's still coloring in. And, you know, and I looked at her, and that's her way of switching off. She colors and she just meditates in that space. My husband loves those books. You know, he loves to read and immerse himself. You know, I like to journal, yeah, and be in nature and just be still. I don't want lots of stimulation. I just want peace and stillness. And I was like, you know, no judgment on each of our passions. Like, I could say to my daughter, you swim enough at home, like you don't need a swimming cap. And I kind of wanted to say that to her, and I went to say it, and she looked at me and she said, I'm taking these because when I swim I feel great. I'm like, yeah, but fins in a case, you know, really, you want to take up that space? And she's like, I'll take out the clothes. Yeah. So whatever your passion is, whatever makes you feel good, it's really important. Yeah. And forget about the judgment. Like, you know, forget about, you know, shoulds and the shouldn'ts, and, you know, should I be bringing more books on holiday? My husband's got 6. Like, should I have more? And like, no. Like, being really, truly grounded and aligned to ourselves and doing what makes us feel good daily, having a passion, putting the noise out there is so important, and it's going to be really important. So I really want you to think this year going forward, what is my passion? Forget about what it could, should, might, be. Yeah. And really focus on having that in your daily practice. Another thing was, I was thinking about, you know, how we set our goals for the year, and we, you know, this is the time of year we think about, you know, and for years I've, you know, wrote myself a letter. How do I want to feel at the end of the year? And you know, wrote a letter to my future self of all the things I achieved. And this year I'm like, no, it's not that. I want us to be much more precise and much more aligned and present. So if you'd like to do some work and, you know, this feels aligned to you, break it down and just work month by month. So in my journaling, normally I would be planning my whole year, you know, what am I going to, no. Let's have most definitely a little bit of like a little, maybe 1 or 2 goals for the year, but let's not do this massive whole kind of, you know, goal setting for 2026. Let's break it down for the month. So I've truly just focused on January. My affirmations for January, my focus, my word of the month, my feeling of the month, my daily practices, you know, what are my priorities for January? And then I'm going to commit to myself that on the last day of every month, I will do the same thing for each month. So, you know, when it comes to January, end of January, I will do the same for February. And that, I believe, is going to keep me more present, more aligned, much more likely to fulfill and to, because I'm going to have them right there just for that month, and they're going to change. Yeah. So if you feel like you'd like to do some work, then please just think about January, then just think about February, just think about March, and just kind of really break it down. Um, and I really want you to feel into your energy. Like, how do you want to feel? Like, how do you want to, get that passion and those juices running through your system every day? And I talked about this a couple of times in our last couple of things. And I'm a Scorpio, so I'm cool to talk about sex and, intimacy and like I'm whatever. But years ago, it was beautiful. I saw this years and years ago, this incredible man that I was working with, and who was this incredible healer. And he used to say to me, Sarah, every day you must have an orgasm and send the energy to your guides, to your masters, and you'll feel more connected. It's really important. And it was, you must do this. And I was thinking about it, and I've been thinking about it the last couple of months. And that physical, spiritual energy that we release through orgasm is really important, and it's really creative flow, and that's why there's all this like hip cool kundalini awakening stuff and all that, because we want to get that energy flowing. So I once read this book, and it was about how this woman gave her husband sex every day for a year. She wrote a book about it, and it was how it changed both of their lives in ways that they would never have believed. So I'm not going to ask you to commit to that, but what I would love you to do is to commit to having that energy release, that orgasm, hopefully every day, with yourself, with others, self-love, love with others, intimacy, connection, like however it shows up, however you choose it, but just to get that energy flowing, because that's going to create flow, passion. It's a release, right, of energy. So why don't we, that old guy that I worked with years ago, he was saying send it to you guys, but why don't we send it to our creations? Why don't we get that energy flowing and then think of, our month's focus and our priorities and our creations and where we want to be and the feeling, and constantly flood it with that energy. Kind of feels really good to me, right? So there's so many things that we can do every day to just really feel like we are so in our body, so aligned. Breath work, sunlight, grounding, yoga, breathing, journaling, reading, like whatever it is for you. Like my daughter, coloring, swimming. She does laps up and down here, laps. She comes out and she goes, oh, it feels great. Like she's a freaking mermaid. But that's her thing. Like I couldn't think of anything worse doing laps. But what I'm saying to you is find your thing and then do it. Do what makes you happy. Love the life that you live, and it's gonna love you back. So I've been chatting away for a long time here. The energy of 2026 is going to be whatever we make it to be. If we go out there, it's crazy, it's hectic, there's some massive planetary alignments, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of chaos, there's a lot of change, there's a lot shifting and happening that's taking us into this new 2027 space. How are we going to get best through this year? By everything I've just said to you. I feel like it's going to be a good year. It's not going to come without its challenges, and it's not going to be easy, but like, what is easy? But if you want it to be peaceful, it can be, and if you want to feel good, you can, because that's just a choice, right? You look after this vessel, then it's going to carry you well. You abuse this vessel, it's going to be like being on a rocking ship. It's all a choice. So when you wake up in the morning, drink your lemon water with some beautiful mineral salt in it. Tune into your body. Before you go to bed at night, let the day go. I've written on my shower wall, let today go. Have a little note next to my bed for when I wake up. Today's a new day. Like, do whatever you need to do. We're not carrying those old suitcases. We're not carrying all that shit anymore. We're not saying yes when we mean no. Yeah? We haven't gone through all that pain to be there. It's like, no. When I was thinking of a word for the year, I was like sovereignty, because it feels strong and it feels kind of empowering and it feels self-led. So tune into that word and what it feels like for you. Yeah? And let's have the best 2026. Let's really create this in new ways. Yeah, I have a new offering coming in 2026, and I know lots of you know that because I've posted little bits, but I will start to share more around it. Around It's called Jungle Dance, and it's movement, and I'm not going to call it dance therapy, but I've been a talk therapist and an energy therapist for years, and it's all I've ever done. Cards, readings, talking, energy work, tuning in, and this is all of it added to some body movement, and oh my god, is it magic and special. And I truly feel that that is going to help us through 26, because we've got to get out of our heads, we've got to get into our body, we've got to start to move some of this old stuff through out of our body, and just start tuning in to some joy in the body. um, I feel like, and I love meditation and it's so important, but for years I've been kind of, tapping out. And where we're going now is fully grounding into the body, feeling the body. That's probably why I'm talking about orgasms and sex and masturbation so much, because it's like we've got to be in the body. Like, we can't be too out there. We can't get too much in the mind. Yeah, because it's not going to be able to make sense of a lot of the stuff coming in. But when we're in our body and we're grounded, like, we feel solid. So, yeah, 2026, there's a lot more offerings coming in from me that I'll be sharing. I'll open up a new little side channel on Instagram and share some daily practices, and yeah, I'm so excited for that. And yeah, that's this constant evolution, moving and flowing into what feels right for us. Yeah, so I'm excited to share that, and we're gonna have a good year if we want. Yeah, tapping out for this year. Look at where I am. Like, I'm manifesting pretty good, guys, and you can do the same. Yeah, it's just choosing. Yeah, where we put ourselves, what we want to create, where we want to be. Yeah, and not letting that noise and the old get in the way. Yeah, you're amazing. I love you all. Thank you for being on this journey with me. I feel so comforted to know that we're all on this together. We're all feeling it together. I love it when you send me messages and say that you relate, or you can tune in and you're feeling, or it's helping. Like, we are all in this together, and it's an incredible journey. Let's not forget that. Happy Christmas, Happy New Year, and I will see you early 2026. I'm not sure when I'll come back in, because I go to an even more remote island in a couple of days. So we'll see how we go, but I will check in with you in the new year. Lots and lots of love.